Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a picture book video, and if you don't know me, hi, my name's Emma Carpenter. I'm an illustrator living in Wales in the UK, and I work with indie authors to self-publish their picture books. So I'm going to split this video into two parts. So part one is going to cover what are your options for self-publishing. I'm going to talk about KDP, Ingram Sparks, and printing with a printing company. I'm going to talk about ISBN numbers if you need one and where to get them. And I'm going to tell you how to set up your files to create the interior of your book and where to get a cover template for KDP and Ingram Sparks. Then in part two of the video, I'm going to talk through my illustration process, from how I create the character design, the thumbnails, the illustrations, and I'm also going to tell you how you can scan and edit your work if you work traditionally, as well as tips on how to draw in Procreate on the iPad. So first of all, what are your options for self-publishing? So the two main ones that people tend to go with are KDP, which is Amazon's print-on-demand service, and Ingram Sparks. Ingram Sparks isn't actually a retailer, but they are good for doing like wider distribution. This gives you the option of being able to audiobook from like Waterstones or Barnes & Noble. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to end up in the bookshop, but it means that you could potentially order it from their online website. And potentially it may end up in the bookstores if, you know, there was the demand for that book. And a lot of the times bookstores and libraries, they won't want to use Amazon, but Amazon obviously gets a lot more traffic. Obviously a lot of people shop there. So that's why sometimes they'll choose one or the other, or sometimes they'll choose both together. KDP only offers paperback books, or paperback books for picture books. Ingram Sparks offers both paperback and hardback as well. Yeah, and I'll also talk later on about doing the cover design and how you can get a template for both KDP and Ingram Sparks. Another option with self-publishing is to do a small print run. So you could see if there's any like local printers that offer this. This isn't something that I have done myself, but I have looked into it. Obviously you have to pay up front, you don't know how many books you're going to sell, and then you'd have to store them and ship them yourself and, you know, deal with international shipping as well. Yeah, so I've done a little bit of research into printers, and one of the ones I came across is a company called XYZ, which is based in the UK, but they do ship internationally as well. I didn't think these companies would be able to handle the storage and the distribution, but this company apparently, yeah, it says that they handle storage, fulfillment, distribution, which is really interesting, and I might have to look into this a little bit more because I do have other picture book projects that I would like to do in 2026. It's nice to know just what other options there are. Another pro for using a small printing company is they can offer special optional extras such as gold foiling, embossing, etc. Obviously these are also expensive, but if you're doing a specialist book, this might be a fun option to do. If this is your first book, then this isn't really a necessary option, but who doesn't love a bit of gold foiling? If you're just starting out, it might be better to stick with KDP or Ingram Sparks. KDP is free to use. They can give you a free ISBN number, but I would definitely recommend buying your own ISBN just because that means you have the option of getting it into bookstores. So in the UK, you go to a website called Nielsen, and in America, you go to the barcodes website. If you live in a different country, just, Google where to get your ISBN numbers from. Buy them individually, or you can buy them in bulk and then you'll get a bit of a discount. You need a different ISBN number for each version of your book. So the paperback will need a separate ISBN to the hardback. And if you were also doing an audiobook, you would need a separate ISBN for that. If you're doing a paperback that's going to be on KDP and also Ingram Sparks, you can use the same ISBN number for the paperback. But like I said, you need a different one for the paperback and the hardback. If you were doing a special edition, that would need a separate ISBN number as well. So an ISBN number stands for the International Standards Book Number, and it's how bookstores and libraries actually find the specific version of your book. So this is why you need a separate ISBN for if you had a paperback, a hardcover. Each one needs a separate ISBN number. Yeah, so that whoever is searching for your book knows that they are getting the specific copy that they want. You'll find the ISBN numbers on the copyrights page. So usually it's in the first couple of pages of the book. And you'll also find this on the back on the barcode as well. Now, when I did my first book, Mother Seagull and the Ocean King, I did also purchase a barcode along with the ISBN number. I've since found out that you don't actually need to buy the barcode as well, because if you are printing through KDP or Ingram Sparks, they will both generate a barcode for you from your ISBN number. If you're going to want to print your book through KDP or Ingram Sparks, then double check what sizes they do, because you don't want to create the illustrations and then find out they don't actually do that book size. One of the sizes that I really like to do is 8 by 10 inches. You can also do square books. So this is 8.5 inches. So yeah, that is another option. You don't get the option of doing board books. Obviously, very young readers, board books are good because children like to chew pages. So if you're wanting to do a board book, that again might be something that you'd need to look at through a printers and doing a small print run. I think it is a really good idea when you're planning out your book to decide the size. So if you have a look on KDP's website, it will list all the different sizes, and then if you look over to the right, it will then list the size including bleed. When books get printed, they get printed and then they get trimmed. So if you want your illustrations to be full bleed, that means you want the illustrations go right to the edge of the page. So right to the edge of the cover, and on the inside, you want the illustrations to go right to the edge. So that is full bleed. In order to achieve this, you actually need to extend your illustration. But yes, it's a very good idea to set up your pages in advance. I would set up a double page spread before you actually do your thumbnails and before you do your final illustrations. I use Photoshop, but you could also use Affinity Photo, which is very similar. I know some people use Canva as well. And what you want to do is set up a template that has a left page and a right page. But yeah, so when you set up your file, make sure it's in CMYK, because that is the color profile that you would want for printing. With the resolution, it's best to have at least 300 dpi. You could also have more. Sometimes I go up to 600 dpi, although it's probably not necessary. 300 dpi is probably going to be fine. Sometimes I just like to work a little bit bigger, just in case I want to print a very large art print or something afterwards. So double check what book size you're doing and what the size including the bleed will be. So if your width is 8 inches, it will then become 16 inches, and then you're adding 1/8 of an inch onto the left and the right, so that becomes 16.25 inches. Yeah, we don't need to double the height, so that's just going to be 10 inches plus the 1/8 bleed at the top and the bottom. So next I will add the margins, and on Photoshop you go to View and Add New Guide and add in 0.125 inches. You can do this vertically, horizontally, And you can also just drag the margins down, and you have these rulers on the side, so you can just eyeball it. I like to add a margin in the middle. So to do this, you add a new guide and you type in 50%, and then this will split your canvas into two, giving you a left page and a right page. I then go ahead and add a safe zone. You need a safe zone because in the printing process, if they accidentally cut off more than they're meant to, you just want a safe zone to make sure that there's nothing important that could accidentally get chopped off. The minimum page count on KDP is 24. Ingram Sparks is a little bit less, I think it's 18, but I would recommend aiming for at least 24 because then you have the option of uploading to both. With traditional published books, the standard is 32, and you can also make your book longer than this. If you were actually struggling and you had less than 24 pages, you could do a couple of things. You could add some end papers. You could add maybe an activity sheet, like a word search or a colouring page. You could do like about the author, about the illustrator. That is something that me and Katie have done in the back of this book. So if your story isn't that long, you can just spread the text out a little bit more and just add more artwork. I often do these patterned end papers. So here's the one for the gnome with no name. And again, it's just a nice way of putting like all the elements of the story into a pattern. So there's that one for the gnome with no name. So yes, as you can see, mostly I do patterned end papers. But sometimes I do things a little bit differently. So with Positive P, written by Ashley Thompson, we started with a title page and then we went on to do these illustrated end papers. So we have them at the front and also at the back there. You could also just do a blank colour. That would definitely be more interesting than just having a blank page. On the subject of blank pages as well, KDP and Ingram Sparks will both insert at least one blank page at the end of your book, and this is with the printing information on it. So it will say like printed in Great Britain by Amazon, for example, or if it was printed in America, it would say that. Book printers also often print pages in multiples of 4. So if you don't want to end up with loads of blank pages, try and have a multiple of 4 minus 1 page so that they can add their blank page at the end. When you've finished your book, you've placed your text and everything is ready to go and you want to upload it to KDP or Ingram Sparks, you need to make a PDF with single pages. So I would definitely recommend doing double pages in your file because you want to see what it will look like, and obviously some of your illustrations may be across a double page. Then in order to make the files to be uploaded to KDP, you need to create individual pages. So the way that I go about turning my double page spreads into single pages is I save them individually as JPEGs and then I crop them. Now usually I do use TIFFs, but when you're making a PDF, it is probably going to be huge. But just know that if you have a JPEG and you keep opening the file, you can actually make the quality of the JPEG not so good. But for doing something like this, then JPEG is going to be absolutely fine. For this book, I'm starting on an end paper, and you always start the book on the right hand page. So the blank side that you see here on the left, that is the back cover. So we can just get rid of that. So to save, you can either go to File and click Save As, or you can also click Shift, Control and S on your keyboard. So we're going to save it as a JPEG, and we're just going to number this as page 1, and then I like to say what side of the page it is, just so that when I crop them I know. So I'm saving this as the gnome with no name, page 1 right, and then click save and then press OK. So next I have the copyrights page and also the title page. So on your keyboard select Control Shift and S, which brings up the Save As box. Select JPEG, and this is page 2 left, and then we're going to save this again. So again, hold down Control Shift and S, save as JPEG, and we're going to save this as page 3 right. There we go. So for each double page spread you will need to save it twice, and then afterwards we will crop this. Right, so I select the crop tool, which is on the left hand side, and then we just drag this. So click with your mouse and drag. Because you've got the margins set up, that will just snap to place. And the next one, we have page 2 left, and it really does make it a lot easier for me if I've labeled these as left and right. Otherwise it can get a bit confusing. And this is my right page. And then just Control S to save. And yeah, so you just go through the whole book, cropping each page. You might be thinking, why don't you just start with individual pages? Like I said, it's really good to see the full double page spread, and you might have some illustrations like this one that actually go across the full double page. So again, you save it in the same way. So Control Shift and S to save. And then we crop it exactly the same way. So this is the left page, press enter, and that's cropped, and we'll just save that. And then we will do the next page. And this is the process for doing a PDF for KDP and Ingram Sparks. Like I mentioned, I haven't used like a local printers before. They may want your spreads set up differently, so you would need to check with them first of all to see how they needed your files. So we're going to put all the files together in Adobe Acrobat to create our PDF. You could also use any other software that can make a PDF. The one tricky thing is with Ingram Sparks, they do want a PDFX. Acrobat is good to convert a PDF into a PDFX. You can also find converters for that online if you search as well. So we want a multiple files PDF. We want to combine the files together, so just click next. So you can either drag and drop your files, or you can add files here. I'm going to hold down Shift, scroll onto the ends, select all the files, click open, and it's loading all our individual pages. And because we numbered them, it's put everything in the right order, which is very handy. And then we just press combine, and then ta-da, we have our PDF all ready to go. So yeah, just double check that all the pages are in the right order. So like I said, for Ingram Sparks, it needs to be a PDFX. So we go to menu and then save as other, and then click press ready PDFX. Okay, and I'm going to call this Ingram Sparks Gnome Book Interior. So just name the file what you'd like, then click on settings, and we want to make sure that this one here is selected, which is the PDFX 1A. So yeah, click that, press OK, press save, and then you're all done. So moving on to the cover, you have the option of having a matte cover or a glossy cover. With KDP, you only have the option of a paperback. With Ingram Sparks, you can have a paperback, or you can have a hardcover, or you can have both. But yeah, so both KDP and Ingram Sparks have cover templates that you can download. When you design the cover, it's really, really important to make sure that the front cover is on the right and the back cover is on the left. And I know that kind of feels like that's the wrong way around, but if you take a book and like open it out, you will see that that is the correct way round. For the barcode, you do not need to buy a barcode. You can just put in the ISBN number that you bought, and KDP will place the barcode in this right bottom corner on the back cover. And the same for with Ingram Sparks. If you like, when you put your ISBN number in, they will generate the barcode for you, which you will actually see on the cover template. So you can get a cover template for KDP, and all you need to do is just enter your information. So it's going to be a paperback because that's the only option for picture books. Interior type, premium colour, paper type, white, reading direction left to right, units in inches, and the trim size we want is 8x10. Obviously, if you have a different book size, then select that. And then put in the page count. Then you just click calculate dimensions and then click download template. Okay, and then we're going to open this and we are going to click CMYK. So I've added my artwork and here's the guides. I'll just lower that. All of this that is pink, that is where the bleed is. So everything else is within the safe zone. This area in the middle is the spine. We don't need to add a barcode because the barcode will be added when we upload it to KDP if we put our ISBN number in. Then once you're happy with all of that, you'll just click Save As and save it as a PDF. We don't need the layers, and click Save. And then you have your cover. When you come to the Ingram Sparks website, either click Login or Create an account. If you click Create an account, it will just ask for some personal details, your name, bank details, etc. And if you come over to Tools and Resources on the left-hand side, click on that. Then click Cover Template Generator. Put in your ISBN number. Now, I've already done this, so it has remembered the previous ones that I've entered. So yeah, click on your ISBN number, select the trim size. Our book is 8x10 inches. If yours is a different one, select that. Click color. We went for premium color. Select paperback. Paperback, you only have the option of perfect bound, so select that. Gloss or matte, so your choice. And then select the page count. I'm clicking PDF. Type in your email address. You have the option of adding the price, but I would leave it blank just in case you want to change the price, and then you just click submit. If you wanted to do a hardback instead, then it's exactly the same process, and then you just click case laminate, and then everything else is the same. Pop your email address in and then click submit. So you'll have to do it twice, and then that gets emailed over to you, and then I'll show you what those templates look like. So we have the two templates here. So this one with the thinner blue border, this is the paperback. This one with the thicker blue border, this is the hardback. The pink is the safe area, so you want all the text, important images, etc. in here, and then the blue is the bleed. So I like to drag the rulers over just so that I can see where the safe zone is, where the bleed is, etc. So I've added my artwork, and as you can see, the front cover is on the right, the back cover is on the left, and I'm happy with the safe zones. Yeah, all the important things are within the safe zone, and you will find that with the hardcover you need a little bit of extra background to the paperback because the hardcover has a bigger bleed. With the barcode, it says that you can move it to any location within the pink area, but I've decided just to leave it in that corner. Yeah, you need to keep all of this text that is around here. So the template for Ingram Sparks does look a little bit different to the template for KDP. So the way that I like to get rid of this is I just use the selection tool over here, and I just select all of this, and then I use the rectangle tool just to make sure I've got that as well. So all of that is selected. Then I'm going to delete that. And then we have our barcode. We have all the rest of the information around that we need to keep, but we've got rid of the pink and the blue. And then this is the file for the paperback. So as you can see, they're similar, but the hardcover just has a little bit extra around the edges. And then you just save them as a PDF, and then you'll open them up in Acrobat and save it as a PDF X1A. Yeah, and then save it as before, and then you're all done. Here's the process of uploading to KDP. I'm actually going to show you some footage of me uploading Mother Seagull and the Ocean King. So either register or sign in to KDP, and you just need to fill in your name, your address, date of birth, those sorts of details. You click create, and then here's where you fill in all the information about your book. So you want to fill in your name and any contributors. So if you worked with another author or an illustrator, you can put those details in there. And you can also save this as a draft throughout the process, and you can come back to it later. The description, this is the product description that the customer will read. So you could include the blurb and also just any information about the book, maybe why you created it, and also who would enjoy it. It says keywords are optional, but I would definitely fill them in. You can do a little bit of research, see what similar books are out there. And then I just kind of tried to describe the themes of the book. The themes or the content. Yeah, just describe the content of the book. So I put in ocean picture book, marine life children's book, illustrated ocean children's book, seaside book for children. So yeah, I've just did sort of various different combinations to describe what the book was like. Yeah, so categories can be a little bit confusing, but have a look and see what other people are using as their categories. I put it under juvenile fiction because it's a picture book. So I did juvenile fiction, marine life. I also did fairy tales and folklore as well. Yeah, just do a little bit of research, see what kind of similar books there are to yours, and just see what keywords and categories they're using. So then with the ISBN, you can either tick for the free one that KDP gives you, or you can use your own. Yeah, you tick the use your own, enter in your own number. The imprints is the publishing name that you chose. So whichever company you bought your ISBNs from, you would have filled in the publishing name. And then you need to choose your size. So obviously, again, make sure it's the right size. You want to make sure, like we said before, that you have a bleed. Yes, you want to select the bleed option, because otherwise you're either going to get something chopped off that you don't want chopped off, or you're going to get white margins. Cover finish, you can go with matte or glossy. I went for matte. Just generally, I prefer the kind of finish of matte picture books, but you could always order a sample copy and then see which version you prefer. And then where it says upload the manuscript, that's where you upload your PDF of all the inside of the pages. And it takes a little while to load. So then you can upload your finished book cover. So it gives you a preview, which is really good. So just check it through, see if you've made any mistakes. If you have to upload everything again, so you have to make your PDF again, which can be a little bit annoying, but sometimes it happens. Yeah, and then at this point you can save it as a draft, and then you can order a proof copy. Then once you're happy with your book, go back and then click publish your book. So I'm going to actually show you just the Ingram Sparks guide on this, because I've given the files to the author and they've set the whole thing up themselves on their account. So I don't have anything to upload, but if you did, you would click whichever of these you like. For example, print book only. Yes, my files are ready to upload. And then you'd click that you have the cover and you have the interior. Select print, distribute and sell book if you want the extra distribution, and then you'd click continue. But I'm just gonna just show you that it has all the information here on Ingram Sparks print book setup guide. Yeah, so this is the information that you would need to enter. So very similar to KDP. So you just put in the title of your book, your ISBN number, the language, you say that you're the copyright holder, and then if your book has a subtitle or a series name. Yeah, so it's very similar setup. You just put your name in, your author name, and if you have an illustrator, you can put that in there. So where it says select imprint, that's the name that you put down when you registered your ISBN number. You could make up an imprint, basically that is your publishing company. Yes, and then you're just selecting subjects. So the same thing, you're just kind of like categorizing your book. And on the title description, you can put in your blurb and anything else that describes what your book is about, like who your book is for, any themes that your book goes into. Then the print information, you're just selecting again the book size, if you want color pages, if you want paperback, hardback, so all of that you're just selecting again, and then you're putting in your page count. Yes, and then it goes on to the pricing. So it will give you an estimated print cost for your book, and then you set the retail price. You can then click enable look inside the book. So it allows buyers to have a little sneak peek. I don't think the large text edition is necessary. Picture books often have fairly large text anyway. Yeah, don't select right to left content unless you are in part of the world where it's normal to have books set up that way, but most books are left to right. Then you want to select your publication date and then an on sale date, which is when the retailers are allowed to sell your book. Then you will upload the files. So yeah, you click print interior, print cover, and then it says if there's any errors, it will come up here, but hopefully, fingers crossed, everything will be good. Then it says you need to verify your book's information and cost, and then click agree, and then click submit. So that is everything. I'm sorry I couldn't show you the precise uploading, but hopefully you'll find that useful, and you can find access to that by clicking right here on the print book setup guide. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you'd like to see how I created the illustrations for the Gnome with No Name, then do watch the second part. I go into a lot of detail, my whole illustration process, from creating the character art, the thumbnails, the final illustrations, and I also tell you how to draw on the iPad in Procreate, and also some tips on, if you work traditionally, how you can scan and edit your illustrations. If you want to get a copy of any of my books, the links to those will be in the description. Do check out my other videos because I have a lot of other videos about picture books and self-publishing. I'm sending you lots of love. I hope you've had a wonderful day, week, month, year, etc, etc. And I will see you in my next video. Okay, bye.
Thank you for coming. I know that you're trying to do anything to make